Welcome back to the Nourish CEO podcast. I'm your host, Laura Schoenfeld, and today's episode is going to be a little spicy and probably about something that is not going to go over well with everybody who hears it, but for the people who it does go over well with, I think this is going to be a really inspiring conversation for you. And honestly, those are the people I'm here to serve, is the people who want more for their lives, who know that they have a lot to offer the world and are not willing to settle for what the world says that they're capable of or what they hear is normal from society. Everything I've ever done in my entire career over the last 10 plus years has been completely abnormal, completely out of what was considered the right way to do things, heavy air quotes. And that's why I was able to get to where I am today in my business. So that's what I want to lead you through. And today's conversation is all around premium pricing and specifically why women should be charging premium pricing. So again, I'm sure there's going to be people that hear this or even see that title and are going to have some opinions about it, but I've been thinking about it recently, and especially now being a mom of two little ones. I have about a 3-month-old right now, as well as a almost 3-year-old at the time of this recording. And my time and energy now compared to what it was 5 years ago when I didn't have kids is so much more limited than it has ever been in my entire life. I joke with my husband about, now that we have two, how easy the newborn phase is compared to the toddler phase. And I'm like, man, if this was how easy a newborn was, and this was such a shock to our systems when we went from 0 to 1, how freaking easy was our life before we had children? So now I'm not saying that to make anyone feel bad if you don't have kids or if your kids are older. I'm just saying what my experience was. Going from 0 to 1 was very hard. And now going from 1 to 2, I'm still figuring out if I think it's harder or easier than 0 to 1. But we just kind of laugh about how our newborn sleeps all the time. I'm like, what were we doing when we had just one newborn? So all of that to say, my life is way more split as far as my attention, my energy, my focus is concerned than it ever was before. And I do not have 40 hours a week to spend in my business, to spend serving clients, to spend earning money. And if you guys don't know this, I'm actually, at least at this point, the sole breadwinner of our family. Now we are looking at my husband starting up his own service-based business. He's looking at running ads for our clients and possibly for his own clients. So he will be bringing in more money, but I think the likelihood is that I'll still be the primary breadwinner because I just have a more marketable skill than he does at this point. Who knows? Give him 10, 20 years. We'll see what happens. But at this point, I am the breadwinner of our family. And so I need to be able to work, but I also need to be able to take care of my children. My baby breastfeeds. I'm feeding her every 2 to 3 hours during the day. If I have a good night, great. I might get 5 or 6 hours of sleep, but some nights I get less. And so my energy is limited. My time is limited. My attention, my focus. All of that is so limited right now. And so if we think about basic economics, supply and demand, because my time and energy is limited, I have less supply than ever before. And there is demand on my time and energy from clients, from potential customers, from free audience members, from people who want to pick my brain, all the things, right? There's lots of people who would love to get my help with their business. But knowing that the supply is so much lower than it ever has been in the past, just from an economics perspective, I have to charge a lot more now than I ever charged before I had children. And that's what I really want to talk about today, because there are so many women out there, mothers in particular, but even just women in general, who have invested years and tens of thousands of dollars into their education. They've got years of experience. I know for me personally as a dietitian, I did 1,200 hours of unpaid interning to get that experience. So I wasn't even paid for most of the work I did until I got my degree. And we've spent a lot of money to get to the place where we have a skill set and expertise. And that's just baseline. That's like literally every single dietitian in the world, in the United States, went through what I went through to get their degree. Now, what they did after that differs. Obviously, there's a lot of people who spend more time, more money, more energy to even enhance their skills. I did that. I know a lot of my clients do that. But we've spent a lot of energy, time, money, attention, focus, effort to get to a place where we have expertise. And for me, moving into the business coaching space, I've been in the online space for, at this point, like 13 and going on 14 years. And that's valuable that I've had over a decade of experience to bring to my clients, right? So it's not just about how much money I've spent, which I've spent several $100,000 on learning business strategy and getting mentorship and coaching and growing in my skills, but even just the amount of time it's taken me to get this perspective, this expertise, this level of knowledge of all the different ways that problems can be solved and the most effective ways that problems can be solved, the pitfalls to look for, the problems that can come up. It's the same thing for you if you're a coach or consultant or practitioner. You have that same level of expertise and knowledge in your subject area. And yet, we're still constantly conditioned to accept low-paying roles. Now, this is especially prevalent in the health and wellness space. I mentioned I'm a dietitian by education. The dietetic space is full of the most pick-me energy where people will literally do stuff for free, and it's because we're taught that our work is not valuable. We're taught it because of those unpaid internships. We're taught it because of the low-paying jobs that are available to us. We're taught that even though now to get an RD, you're going to have to get a master's degree, that you should still accept a $30 per hour dietitian job because that's a normal pay for a dietitian. Like, we're totally trained by our educational system, by our industry that we're in, by our professional colleagues even, that we are not valuable when it comes to the work that we do. So we're conditioned to accept low-paying roles. And to layer that on top of this feeling of, well, I'm helping people with their health, that's an altruistic thing. That's a genuinely caring thing to want to help people improve their health. So then we're layering the belief on top of this that it's immoral to charge money for our services. And it's especially immoral to charge a higher amount of money for our services. I'm not saying I believe that, but that is the belief that a lot of women especially are picking up as part of their journey to becoming health experts. And they start to think, well, we should just be doing this out of the goodness of our heart. I'm not in this to make a lot of money. Money is greedy. Money is evil. All the things that we think about when we think about making money. So what I want to ask you, and I don't think I have an answer to this necessarily, but what I want to know is, why is there such a huge disconnect in the health and wellness space between helping people and making good money? It's like, oh, I can't help people and make good money. I have to choose between the two. And I went into the nutrition space or the health space to help people. I didn't go in there to make money. And it's funny because that just reminds me of a time where when I was in grad school for nutrition, my now deceased grandfather was visiting me, and he took me out to dinner. And I remember so clearly him saying to me, because he was always trying to get me to go into like chemistry, and not that, I don't know why he would think there's so much money in chemistry, but he was always trying to get me to go into a different field. He thought nutrition was not the right place for me to be. And I remember so clearly one of the last things we ever talked about before he passed away was that he said I was never going to make good money as a dietitian. So that is a belief. Now, whether or not I objectively agreed with him or not, this was at this point like 15 years ago. That's what he said to me. He said I was never going to make good money as a dietitian. Now, joke's on grandpa, right? Because I was able to do multi-six figures as a dietitian. And then when I switched over to business coaching, we've done to date, I think like close to $3 million in sales in just the last 5 years. So I was able to make good money, and I'm still able to make good money. But that is something that a lot of people in our space hear from friends, from relatives, from parents, from siblings, that, oh, the industry that you're in is not an industry to go into if you want to make good money. So again, whether it's a societal expectation or if it's just that belief that people can't help people and make money at the same time, we're just in this like shitstorm of basically people telling us we shouldn't be making money. And then again, women, we get the message that's different than men. And I don't want to be sexist or anything, and I don't want to make assumptions about what men are hearing, but I am pretty confident that women are the ones that are constantly being told to accept less than men. There's no argument that women make less than men for the same jobs. Now, obviously, there's a variety of reasons for that, but there is a societal standard that women make less money than men. So if you're a woman, if you're in the health space, if you are highly educated, if you've been through a training program like I was, where we paid a lot of money to work for free. So I paid money to work basically when I was a dietitian student. If you've been through that, it's no wonder that you might be struggling with money mindset. You might be struggling with the idea of charging higher prices for your services. Now, what I want to know is, why is there a disconnect between helping people and making good money? If you take that to its natural conclusion, that means that we should only make good money if we're doing something that's either totally frivolous or something that could be harmful to people. So I know that that doesn't sound right. Like, why would you say, oh, the only people that should make money are the ones that are harming people? But that's what we're saying when we say that you can't help people and make a great income. So that's something to chew on. If that's, whether subconsciously or consciously, a belief that you have, that is something that would be preventing you from reaching your goals financially. And it's something that can create this pattern of over delivering, over serving, and undercharging for your services and getting into a place of burnout. Now, the reality is that no one's coming to save us. I know that we would all love for the system itself to change, but the system is built to keep women and to keep female health experts undervalued. It just is what it is. And the only way it's ever going to change is if we ourselves change it. Now, I will say that there's a lot of companies out there that are further exploiting female health experts. I know I've been hearing a lot of conversation around the different big wellness companies like Nourish and Faye and Berry Street and BetterHelp and all these big, I mean, they're basically tech companies, but these tech startups who are using primarily female health expert labor to make money. And I think there's this really big attraction to working for these companies because it's flexible, it pays better than a hospital does, and all that's great. And listen, I'm not trying to throw these big wellness companies under the bus. You know, I don't necessarily have that strong of an opinion about them, but I do think that general structure of a big company, whether it's a hospital, a wellness company like Nourish, they're bringing in a ton of money and then paying a fraction of that out to their workers. So if you're a dietitian working for a company like Nourish, they're charging the customers, well, primarily the customer's insurance, somewhere between like $150 to $200 an hour, and they're paying their dietitians $40 to $60 an hour. Now, $40 to $60 an hour might sound nice when you think about a lot of these other dietitian jobs being like $25 an hour, $30 an hour, but you're not guaranteed to make that money, even if you're available full time to work. And you're also the one delivering the transformation. You're pouring out your time, your energy, your focus, your attention on these clients, yet you're giving like 75% of your potential compensation to the company just because they're doing the marketing for you. Now, I know that there's other benefits. And listen, if you work for one of these companies and you love it, that's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the people who work for these companies because they feel like there's no other option for them, but they just have not seen what's possible for them when they run their own business and charge premium prices to serve their clients. So this is one of the reasons why I teach my clients to start with a high ticket offer, because you should not have to see 30, 35, 40 clients a week in order to make a full-time income. Now, I will say that a lot of people think that charging premium, charging high ticket is greedy. And I don't believe that. I wouldn't teach it if I believed it. But as a new mom, as somebody who now has 2 daughters, not only looking to me for guidance and inspiration, but literally taking my time and energy and my physical stamina with a baby, I do not have 30 to 40 hours a week to serve clients. I don't even have 10 hours a week to serve clients between the different things that I do. And that means that in order to make enough money to support me, to support my family, to be able to afford the part-time childcare that we do, to be able to pay my husband a salary, we have to charge higher ticket, because if we didn't, there's no way that this business would exist. Or I would be so freaking burnt out that I wouldn't even be able to serve my clients at the level that I do. I certainly wouldn't be able to do a podcast like this. And I would probably end up quitting, because there's no way that I would ever be able to work full time seeing clients to just barely make like 80, 90K. And then I would also have to send my husband back to full-time work, and then we'd have to get full-time childcare. So now I'm basically paying half my salary out to take care of my children and also missing out on their entire childhood, which is an absolute deal breaker for me. So you can start to see here where, especially if you're a mom, but in women in general, not only are we conditioned to be paid less than men, especially men in non-helping professions, but we have so much that we have to give outside of our business, outside of the work that we do, that it's actually crucial that we raise our prices so that we can take care of ourselves, take care of our families, that we can actually show up in the best possible energy so that the work we do with our clients is the most effective, and that it's not creating the situation where we're turning into a shell of a person because we're bleeding ourselves dry serving 30 to 40 clients a week just to be able to afford childcare. So if that's your experience, I promise it does not have to be that way. That is why I do what I do in my business in the way that I teach my clients, because my clients see 5 clients a week, 6 clients a week, 10 clients a week, and they're able to make 6 figures, multi-6 figures. And that is the kind of business model that allows women, especially, to take care of themselves and to have children and to be that present parent, that present mother that they want to be without just having to toss their expertise in the trash, essentially. And I'm not degrading motherhood, but if you went to school for years like I did and you spent tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on your education, it can be very discouraging to basically have to give all of that up because there's no job out there for you that allows you to also spend the time that you want with your kids. So that is why I teach this business model, high ticket signature programs, because that really is the model that supports women best, it supports mothers best, and it also helps get clients the best transformation because not only are we bringing our best to the work that we do, but we're also able to help the client commit to a higher level of transformation because they are taking it so much more seriously when they have paid an amount of money that feels serious to them. So when we charge more as women, as health experts, we raise the standard for everyone. We raise it for ourselves, we raise it for our clients, and we raise it for the industry. It's not just about you. If you're out there charging $50 an hour for your client time, or God forbid, you're doing stuff for free. I saw a reel literally today, right before I hit record on this, where another dietitian was really frustrated that there was a company asking her to source other dietitians to help them do something for literal free. And she was like, nobody's going to do that for free. My people want to be paid at least $200 an hour for that service. And then they come back to her and say, oh, sorry, we found some dietitians who said they'll do it for free, so we're not interested in paying you anymore. That is the kind of thing that keeps everybody accepting less. So this is not just about you. Charging more is about the other women who are in our space who want to also charge more, who want to be respected, who want to be paid what their expertise is worth, but are getting undercut because of the other people who are doing it for way cheaper, because of the people who aren't even getting paid for the work, right? So deciding to charge more is not just about the income that you're making. It's also about reshaping what's normal for female experts. Like I said, I have 2 daughters. I have no idea what they're going to do with their lives, whether or not they'll even have a career. If they want to be a stay-at-home mom, that's totally cool. I really don't care what they do as long as they're happy. But what I will say is there's no way that I am going to be modeling this burnout, overworked, exhausted, barely paid type of lifestyle for them, or having a lifestyle where maybe I make a lot of money, but I never see my kids. Like, that is not what I'm modeling for my children. I want them to see that they can do both. And it's not that it's easy, but that it's worth it. So I hope that this is resonating with you. Obviously, I'm getting a little fired up about it. I don't think I would have had this perspective before becoming a mom, but at the end of the day, you have to remember, whether you have kids or not, your time and energy are limited. Most people can't do 40 hours a week of face-to-face time with clients. So that means every hour that you give to your clients is not only an hour of your life, but it's also time away from your family. It's time away from the things that might be self-care for you. You might be, skipping a workout to be able to serve that many clients. You cannot be doing that and expect yourself to be living the best possible life and showing up fully in the work that you're doing. So every hour that you give to clients needs to be paid accordingly. And if nothing else, the education and experience you have is worth so much to the people who literally have zero of what you understand and what you know about your expertise. I mean, you've spent years developing this expertise, and the people that you work with might not have spent any time at all, and they have no expertise and they really need your help. But the other thing you want to think about, if you are a mom, motherhood gives you a ton of extra skills that now make your time even more valuable. Motherhood expands your intuition, it expands your wisdom, it creates a whole new skill set that you never had before you had kids. And that's one reason why I really think moms actually should get paid more, because you have all of this extra stuff because of being a mom, because of the work that you do to birth your child, to raise your child, to take care of children, to multitask, to meet needs at different times. And at the same time, like, there's so many things that you have to be able to do as a mom that now make you so much more skilled at helping people. This means your time and your expertise is actually more valuable. So I know that it's really common for women to get down on themselves when they're tired, when their attention is split, they're kind of bouncing between business and motherhood. It can lead them to actually devalue themselves. And I am here to show you that moms especially should be charging the most, because we're actually the most qualified to help people at the highest level. So I hope that this is inspiring you to think about your pricing, to think about, are you charging enough for your life to actually work? Are you charging enough to take care of yourself? Are you charging enough to raise the standard for the women in your field? Premium pricing is the way to do that, especially if you don't have a volume business. And we'll talk about business models in another episode. But if you're running a business where it's high touch, high support, big transformations that you're helping people get, you spend a lot of time and energy to not only become an expert, but to really go deep with your clients. That is a premium service, and it needs to be priced at a premium level. This will buy you the freedom that you want in your life to work less, to live more, to show your children what it means to honor what your expertise is worth, to honor yourself as someone who is worth taking care of. And it's going to have a ripple effect even out to the other people in your space, the other women who are looking up to you and being inspired by what you're doing. So this is my call to action for you, as if you are a health expert, female health expert, also a mom. I know this is a big part of my audience. It's time for you to raise your prices. It's time for you to start charging premium. It's time for you to start valuing your time. Because if you undervalue yourself, you're going to attract clients who don't respect your boundaries. They don't necessarily get the best results because they're not respecting the time and energy that they're putting in, and they don't end up having the best experience. And then you're doubting yourself because you're questioning, well, why are they not getting the best results? It's because you're not charging them enough. And then worse, you perpetuate the cycle of exhaustion, resentment, and even financial struggle in your business. And you're basically just bleeding yourself dry, trying to take care of people who don't even value what you do. And then you're getting pulled away from your family and the things that you care about and your own self-care in order to keep doing it. And if that sounds like you, I promise there's a way out. That is exactly what I help my clients with. But it starts with a decision that you're not going to buy into these societal expectations around women, mothers, healthcare experts charging less and accepting less and settling for less. So I'm here to call you to a new standard. Wealth and wellness are not opposite. Wealth is not a dirty word. Wealth is a tool. It's a necessary tool, not only for you to have freedom, for your family to have freedom, for the people around you to have freedom, but also for you to have the impact that you want to have in the world. And at the end of the day, wellness professionals and moms especially deserve to live well too, and not just to sacrifice their own needs to help others. So here's what I want you to think about, and I'll wrap it up with a call to action, a call to reflection, really. Ask yourself, are you pricing your services based on the value you provide and the value of your expertise? Or are you basing it on the fear that what if I overcharge and what if people say no, and who am I to charge these amounts? If it's coming from fear, that is not a good place to price from. And I encourage you to really think about, what do you need to charge, not only to meet your needs, but even to exceed them? Like, let's make exceeding our needs something that is okay and good and is not something where you have to cut yourself off as soon as you start meeting your needs. This is your opportunity to decide today to operate from a new standard of growing wealth as a woman, to experience health and wellness as someone who is constantly taking care of others, whether it's their clients or their family or both, and really stepping into that leadership role as a CEO of your own business, as someone who gets to make the decisions around what you get paid and is someone who is raising the bar and raising the standards for everyone else. That is what it means to be a nourished CEO, and that is what this podcast is all about. I hope that this episode got you fired up. I got fired up about it, and please DM me on Instagram. Let me know what you thought about this. If you hated it, please don't DM me. Just unsubscribe, unfollow. But if you liked it, if this was powerful for you, please share with me. I would love to hear what you're going to do differently or what stood out to you, what resonated with you. And then, of course, hit that subscribe button. And if you would be so generous to leave me a 5-star review on your podcast host platform, iTunes, Spotify, wherever that is, that helps other people discover the show and helps get this message out to more women, more moms, more health experts who deserve to be paid well and need to be paid well to be able to have the biggest impact that they're here to create. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you on the next episode of the Nourished CEO podcast.